I'm not sure I'm deserving. I can only think that the Press Club's ERA committee was impressed by the fact that I'm the only sports writer to bring clay tablets and a stylus to the games he covers. When Brendan O'Reilly told me a couple of months ago that I was to be inducted into the Press Club of Long Island's Hall of Fame, I told him I could now die in peace. No, not yet, he said. I've already written my obit, which is a scream, judging from my coworker Irene Silverman's initial reaction. But I'll spare you that. It occurs to me, though, that being able to write your own obituary is one of the local journalism's chief perks. That, and if one is a columnist, which I have been since 1967, to be afforded the to be afforded the freedom to speak your mind, such as it is. I have a mandatory 7th grade typing class at the Edgeworth, Pennsylvania Public School, largely to thank for my career, which began almost 60 years ago in Riverhead as an apprentice to the late Art Penny, a resourceful Long Island press reporter and weekend stringer for the New York Times, where I had been a copy boy prone to tossing stories from foreign correspondents into wastebaskets. I lived then in a one-room apartment that gave out onto a cement courtyard on East 12th Street. I used to say when I was on the pot, my feet were in the stove. No sooner had I gotten off the bus in Riverhead than I was hired. And not long afterward, while Art was tending to the chipping news at the Baiting Hollow Country Club, I was cranking out up to half a dozen stories a day, mostly originating from the county courthouse up the street and from the county executive's office not far away. H. Lee Dennison was the county executive then, an engaging, square-jawed engineer who envisioned cross-sound bridges, jetports, international duty-free zones, high-speed rail service, nuclear power plants, labyrinthine sewer districts, and hardened dune lines spanning Montauk and Far Rockaway. About a year and a half later, I told Art that I was going to go to work for the East Hampton Star. Its editor, Ev Rattray, had, after leafing through my thick volume of clips, told me he was, quote, not so much impressed by the quality, but by the quantity of my work. Art told me I was cutting my throat professionally. Art was right. The move saved me, though. Around that time, I told my father that I lacked ambition. He said I was carrying on the family tradition. And to encourage me, he added that we Graveses had been eators, not ETs, at the Donner Pass. As everyone else, I was enchanted when I made that left turn at the town pond, bilious green, though it may have been and is. I have lived in East Hampton ever since, in good times and bad. The times have been invariably good. Since almost 40 years ago, I met Mary Cornell, who had come from California to live with her mother in Amagansett, and who used to say I was the first person to wave to her in East Hampton. Happily, she waved back. She thought when I first asked her to dinner that my ardor might abate on learning she had 4-year-old twins, one of whom, Catherine Manu, an East End publishing mogul, is sitting at that table there. It was Catherine, also known as Georgie, who, when asked at the age of 12 if she'd rather be famous in East Hampton or unknown, immediately replied, unknown. The twins trashed the house that evening, but I persisted and continue to persist in Mariolatry, having found her to be altogether wonderful, a most amusing and savvy muse. It was said my weekly column took on new life after meeting her. I've told Mary that when I die, she is to pick the scholars who shall have access to my papers, which include treatises on the long-term effect of neck swiveling as it relates to spectator sports, catharsis and slow pitch transcending the tragic sense in life, striving for the golden mean of racket abuse in senior tennis, and the creative use of prolixity and obfuscation in achieving clarity in the postmodern world. Marion Sport saved me. I have Ev to thank for the latter, for ordaining in 1979 that I, in the throes of a depressing divorce at the time, was henceforth to be the paper's sports writer and was thus to have fun. They call sports the toy department, but I found it to be the joy department. It's self-evident that there's joy, at least to me, who's written of people running, walking, pedaling, swimming, climbing, swinging, kicking, punching, skating, catching, passing, putting, putting, shooting, dribbling, grappling, rowing, riding, fencing, sailing, blocking, tackling, jumping, spiking, and leaping for the past 45 years. Also, when it comes to saviors, I have Kathy Kovac, the Star's former longtime production manager, and Craig McNaughton, the best sports photographer and one of the kindest people I know, to thank as well for having made me look good for many years. Forgive me then if I say that I view local sports writing as a spiritual calling. To be assigned to participate in the dance of life and to talk with others about what really inspires them keeps me nimble, keeps me connected, and keeps me inspired. As Emily Dickinson said, "Blessed are they that play, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And that's all I have to say about that.